So earlier today on Discord, someone was asking how to create sort of a simple text effect where you have your foreground text and a sort of an outline that's actually a background of geometry that it sits on. That in here somewhere. Here, so something that looks kind of like this. Okay, so looks simple, right? Yeah, it actually is very simple if you know what tools you have available to you. So just like any other model, we can easily create what we need by using some of the basic objects. So Shift A, choose text, and go to your text properties. You can go to paragraph and alignment and center and middle, just to get things lined up. Choose a font. I'm going to use a free font that I downloaded, I think from dafont.com. And we'll just open that and let's set a scale for it. Hold that all the way up. I'm going to control and I'm going to sort of apply that as my default scale. Should be fine. You could also just type in a physical size under properties if you want to lock in a scale. Okay, so we've got our font. I'm going to set up a little bit of space in between my characters just to give myself a little room for my outline. And let's change the text. Switch to edit mode. And I'll just type in, we'll say mega, just for fun. And then out of edit mode. And so in this case, we want to keep it fairly simple. So I'm going to just drop my resolution for my text down to about 1, since this is rather very sharp angles on all of this. Very simple. And I'll also go into my object properties, viewport display. I'm going to set a color for my text. And let's make it this sort of blue color like it was in the image I had there. And off the switch to matte cap, and I'll make sure it's doing object color so I can actually see the colors I apply. Okay, and so that's going to be our base text. Back to properties for the text itself. And I'm going to go down to where it says geometry. And I'll just set my extrusion, give us a little bit of thickness on there. Okay, could even come in here and bevel things out a little bit. Make it a little pretty. Then I'm going to actually control or shift D, sorry, to duplicate it. I'm going to translate that down along the z-axis just to put it a bit lower. I'm going to go back in to that duplicate, make a few more adjustments. I'm going to decrease the extrude on the geometry. Okay, now I'll go to my side view so I can actually see where I'm going with this. And then, while it's below it, I'm actually going to go back to my object mode really quick and set that color back to white. So I'm going to kill all that saturation. And so as you can sort of see where I'm going with this, I'm going to go back to my text properties, and then under offset, you go directly above it so you can see what happens. When I scrub across, it expands out and it gives us that nice outline. It's quick and easy. It gives the kind of effect we're getting in that image. So let's say you want to have a little more control over your geometry or the resulting geometry from this. Then you could take a sort of a different route. It takes a little more time and a little more effort. So we get rid of this. We stick with our basic text, and we can extrude it. Let's say I'll do 0.5. And I'm going to kill the bevel on this, so we'll worry about adding a bevel later, perhaps. just so it's a bit cleaner. And resolution should be fine as 0. Because we're not doing anything with the bevel. So, okay, so that's going to be our base text. And if we actually look at it in transparent or wireframe mode, you can see it's creating all of our text as triangles. And if we also go in, activate face orientation, everything's fine. I'm going to convert it into plain text. Or actually convert it to a mesh. Okay, so now to solid mesh. And now what we can do is we can come around in edge mode, edit mode, and let's just add a single edge loop down the center of each one of these. We'll just split these. Okay, I'm not too worried about the triangles right now. I could always go back in and get rid of those if I really need to. And ideally, you want to keep all your stuff quad. But I'm just going to show you what I have in mind. And so I'm going to have my side view, switch to faces, go to wireframe mode. I'm going to select that bottom section. Okay, so we've got all the sides on that bottom half. And we can go right click or under face, you can choose it as well. Extrude faces along normals. Simple. Make sure that you're selected for individual origins. And you could be set to normals as well. This is just to make sure things deform the way you want them to, or extrude the way you want them to. And then you go extrude along face normals. And we can pull out that bottom edge that we want. Okay, and you can go into the settings for the process and make sure it's doing it evenly, so to help to minimize any distortion if you're getting it. And you can sort of tweak it and see exactly what's going on when you're doing the extrusion. Ideally, do the cleanup before you do the extrusion. Then you should have a lot less to worry about. But ultimately, we have what we want. It's just a matter of applying the correct texture or shaders to it. And it's fairly easy to just select that outer loop on each one of these. And then expand selection, Control plus. So once you have your edge selected, if you're not worried about keeping them as a unified mesh, you could separate these out as well. Select your outline and assign a different shader there. Again, ultimately, this depends on what you're going to do with it. You can choose whichever method's going to be the most effective.